Hey everyone, I'm back with another update. In this episode, I'll cover immigration related news, tariff talk, and the government shutdown. Of course, I'll end with the noteworthy tidbits. The Trump administration has terminated the protective status of South Sudan migrants who may now be deported, and it's been confirmed that over 80,000 visas have been revoked since January. Zero illegals were released into the United States for the sixth straight month, and federal agents were spotted taking an illegal alien out of a daycare in Chicago. Federal agents also rounded up 1,500 illegal aliens in Houston, including over a dozen sex predators and 17 gang members, and the Kansas Attorney General charged Coldwater Mayor Jose Ceballos for voting illegally as a non-citizen. Last for this topic, it was exposed that 6 blue states stole over $1 billion tax dollars for illegals' health care, with Medicare and Medicaid Administrator Dr. Oz saying, "We decided to investigate it ourselves because I don't really trust these 6 states. We found already $1.3 billion has been inappropriately taken from federal taxpayers in just the past few months." On to tariff talk. Oral arguments over President Trump's sweeping tariffs started in the U.S. Supreme Court, and the justices appeared notably skeptical of the administration's authority to enact the tariffs without congressional approval. However, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent heard the oral arguments and said he's optimistic the court will uphold Trump's tariffs. A ruling is expected by January at the latest, though the Trump administration has requested expedited review to avoid potential refunds exceeding $750 billion. If the court strikes down the tariffs, the White House has indicated contingency plans using narrower trade laws, though these would limit speed and scope. Trump also confirmed that if the tariffs are struck down, America will have to pay back trillions of dollars. Let's switch to the government shutdown, which has officially become the longest in U.S. history. Bipartisan talks in the Senate advanced slightly, with a group of moderate senators nearing agreement on a minibus package of 3 funding bills. No deal was reached, but Senate Majority Leader John Thune indicated a test vote would occur today, November 7th. The FAA and Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy announced plans to reduce air traffic at 40 major airports to ensure safety amid severe staffing shortages from unpaid air traffic controllers. This could lead to widespread delays and cancellations if unresolved. The White House identified $5 billion in reserves to cover a second round of active duty paychecks. However, civilian Defense Department employees, many veterans, expressed frustration over unequal treatment. President Trump continues to encourage Republicans to nuke the filibuster, but Senator Ted Cruz confirmed that the votes aren't there to be successful. Senator Rick Scott pushed for Congress to pass his bill that would halt all paychecks to members of Congress while the government remains shut down, but Democrats blocked that bill. Several senators and representatives, mostly Republican, but a few Democrats, have chosen to donate or withhold their pay during the shutdown, and I thought it'd be nice to hear about their donations. Senators Lindsey Graham, Ron Johnson, Michael Bennet, John Hickenlooper, Catherine Cortez Masto, and Mark Warner have chosen to donate their pay, with Graham donating to Upstate Warrior Solution, Johnson donating to charity aiding COVID-19 vaccine injury victims, Hickenlooper donating to statewide food banks, Cortez Masto donating to unspecified Nevada charities, and Warner donating to Federal Employee Education and Assistance Fund. Senators Chris Van Hollen and Andy Kim chose to have their pay withheld so that money will go to the U.S. Treasury directed at debt reduction. Representatives Joyce Beatty, April McLean Delaney, Bill Foster, Susie Lee, and Ralph Norman are donating their salaries, with Beatty donating to local Columbus nonprofits, McLean Delaney donating to district nonprofits impacted by federal cuts, Foster donating to Northern Illinois Food Bank, Lee donating to Nevada Charities for Federal Workers, and Norman donating to Children's Attention Home and Westminster Presbyterian Church Fund. Many representatives chose to have their pay withheld, so it will go to the U.S. Treasury as previously mentioned, including Jamie Raskin, Young Kim, Mike Carey, Chip Roy, Ashley Hinson, Tom Barrett, Marionette Miller Meeks, Rob Breshnahan Jr., Tom Keene Jr., William Timmons, Jeff Fry, Kat Kamek, Gus Bilrakis, Gabe Evans, Jeff Crank, Johnny Olszewski, Sarah Elfreth, and Kwesi Fum. It's important to note that this is only a list of new pledges for this shutdown, and that some, like Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, forego their pay year-round or have had their pay withheld during previous shutdowns, and they are not listed here. Trump, as always, donates his salary to federal agencies and departments like the National Park Service and HHS. It's worth mentioning a private donation that was made from billionaire Timothy Mellon, who donated $130 million to cover military shortfalls, and an anonymous millionaire gave $150 million to the troops. Now it's time for the noteworthy tidbits, which are brought to you today by Big Fork Brands. Let me tell you about them quick. Sometimes I get on a roll cleaning or gardening, and I need a boost but don't have time for a meal. Big Fork Brand's pork jerky is the perfect choice to keep my momentum, offering high-protein snacks for on-the-go energy boosts. Not only do they offer pork jerky, but they also make pork sticks, bacon sausage, bacon hot dogs, and burger and hot dog sauces. Products come in a variety of delicious flavors, including Thai green curry and maple and brown sugar for the meat options, and gangster and Chicago fire for the sauces. I personally think the original flavor of the pork jerky hits just right after tackling a big chore. It's a little salty and very flavorful. My discount code gives you 20% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit bigforkbrands.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. All right, let's get back to the tidbits. President Trump gave an address at the America Business Forum and was presented the key to the city by the mayor of Miami. New York City's Jewish Fire Commissioner Robert Tucker resigned from his position just hours after Zohran Mamdani's election win, and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is considering tariffing New York refugees if they come to Florida. Texas voters passed a constitutional amendment requiring citizenship to vote in all elections, with Governor Greg Abbott confirming, "It is now in our Constitution that only U.S. citizens can vote in Texas elections." On the one-year anniversary of his election win, President Trump declared affordability is his goal for the American people. Kazakhstan joined the Abraham Accords, with the date of the signing ceremony to be announced soon. A new Florida law allows the death penalty for adults who rape children under the age of 12. The CEO of Walmart announced that Thanksgiving turkey is at its lowest price since 2019. A federal court upheld Florida's law banning Chinese Communist Party-linked individuals from buying land in the state. The Fifth Circuit upheld Texas law preventing children from attending explicit drag shows. The U.S. Senate struck down the Democrat effort to block the Trump administration from amping up military efforts against Venezuela. Nancy Pelosi formally announced her retirement from Congress and will not be seeking re-election. The Department of Justice is sending out grand jury subpoenas in Florida regarding the investigation into former CIA Director John Brennan following the criminal referral from National Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard. A federal grand jury will hear evidence against Brennan on conspiracy to commit perjury and other crimes. The Supreme Court upheld Trump's order ensuring passports are based on biological sex. Federal prosecutors opened a corruption investigation into D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser following a trip paid for by Qatar. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent launched an investigation into potential fraud involving $9 billion in federal contracts. President Trump confirmed he spoke to President Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin about denuclearization. A man fainted in the Oval Office due to lightheadedness, and he has already fully recovered. Dr. Oz rushed to give him medical aid, and President Trump comforted his wife. Several more narco-terrorists were struck in the Caribbean. I'm wondering why they continue to traffic drugs that way. President Trump confirmed the cost of weight loss drug prices will be slashed, with Medicare copays expected to plummet from $1,350 to just $50. Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. revealed he's about to announce new dietary guidelines that will change America's food culture. President Trump announced a trade and economic deal was struck between the United States and Uzbekistan, with Uzbekistan purchasing and investing almost $35 billion over the next 3 years and $100 billion over the next 10. Purchases and investments will be in key American sectors, including critical minerals, aviation, and automotive parts. Republicans in California have sued Governor Gavin Newsom to block his gerrymandered congressional map before the 2026 midterms, and O'Keefe Media Group exposed Newsom for setting the stage to funnel money into his 2028 presidential campaign through the Prop 50 pro-Democrat gerrymander. A California voter accused Democrats of election fraud, claiming the voting machine glitched and only had the option to vote yes on the Prop 50 gerrymander. The U.S. Senate confirmed Eric Tung as circuit judge for the Ninth Circuit. Lastly, President Trump endorsed Nevada Governor Joe Lombardo for re-election.